I'm Tharang Hiramaturaka. Hello. This video in my Self-Mastery Shorts playlist, or video series, is about memory. Short-term memory and long-term memory. Seems to be that it is the case that, well, a lot of people have short-term memory difficulties, especially the older we get. And I think the primary reason for it is not, oh, well, that's just getting old, but rather is a matter of attention. We get used to things in life. Seems to be like, the older we get, that different day, same old stuff. We don't pay so much attention to what's really going on as it's going on. Although we may think we're paying, giving things just as much attention as we always have in our lives, because we don't notice our attention getting distracted by other thoughts and affairs a little bit more each day. It's just a little bit more each day. Just a little bit. It's more subtle than as our awareness of it. Than our awareness of it can perceive, let's say. As a child, if you saw a maple leaf, maybe it was your first maple leaf, your dad said, well, that's a maple leaf. You were so intrigued. My goodness. You heard about them. Now you see one. You pick it up. You look at it. You look at the front. You study it. You look at the back. You look at the shape. You wonder which tree it came from. You look around. Oh, there's a tree full of those leaves. So you examine the whole tree. You imagine the leaf having fallen off the tree. You wonder how long it's been laying on the ground. You're giving this thing all sorts of consideration. That involves a lot of repetition going on in your mind and a lot of mental focus on that leaf. 10 years later, you might still remember that day, finding that leaf and looking at that tree. 20 years later, you might still, if you really think about it, remember the first time you ever saw a maple tree, where you were standing, your dad saying, well, that's a maple leaf. You might remember it as one of those good moments you had with your dad. Might remember what time of year it was. What time of day it was. You might remember how many times you looked at the back of that leaf. You might remember all this very clearly because you really paid attention to it. You were very present in it. And you were emotionally connected with the moment. You were excited over this. And you repeated it in your mind as you were doing it. You were aware of what was going on around you. You were very aware of that leaf, where it came from, what its history was, and what will probably happen to it after you put it back down on the ground. And no doubt you thought about it the next day, too. Or at least a couple of times throughout the rest of that day. So you gave your mind more repetition over it. In other words, you were committing that event to long-term memory. With the emotional involvement, with the repetition of the event in your mind, with the studying of it, with the focus on it, the continued, steady focus on it, and then the repetition of that in your mind. You put it in long-term memory. This is how things get into long-term memory. Now, let's say you're 50 years old and you put your keys down as you're coming in the house. And you think you paid attention to putting your keys there. You really think you did. Half hour later, you need to run out to your car and get something, and your car's locked, and you go reaching for your keys. They're not where you thought you put them. They're not in their usual place. You cannot remember where in the world you put those keys, and you think to yourself, now, I was paying attention as I came in the door. Well, chances are you weren't. You certainly hadn't committed putting the keys where you put them into long-term memory, because it's gone already. But I'll give it 9 times out of 10 that if when you came in the door at the age of 50 and put your keys down, you stopped and thought to yourself, you know, I'm very interested in where I'm putting my keys right now. At least because I want to find them when I need them. Because you never know. There might be an emergency. Maybe the house will be on fire if you have to go to that extreme. That should invoke some kind of an emotional response in you. What if I need to get out of here in a hurry? Imagine something that causes you to have to rush out in a hurry if you have to. Get a little emotionally involved in this somehow. All right? And watch where you're putting the keys. Watch. Get a grip on your attention. Focus your mind. Woo. Zoom right in. Hone it in. Get in there. Hone in on where you're putting your keys. Think about it. Think about where you're putting your keys. Take note to what the surrounding area looks like. And I mean, look at it. Take it into your mind. Close your eyes. Still see it. Okay? Then place your keys there. Close your eyes. See your hand going there. Take note to any sounds that are happening. Is it silent? It doesn't matter what the sounds are. Just take note to what you hear. Okay? And then pick your keys up and go through it again. Repeat the whole thing. Take note to the color of the background you're setting them against. Listen to the sounds again. Go through this 3 times in a row with attention. Focus. 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 Okay? There are other techniques you can use too. You can throw in as many things as you want. Use all your senses. Pay attention to what's taking place with all your senses. The taste in your mouth at the time. Everything. Okay? Examine your keys. Count them. Right there at that surface that you're laying them on. And pay attention. Do everything you possibly can to make this a moment of study. And then repeat it. And as you're walking away, stop. Close your eyes and repeat the whole thing again in your mind. Picture it all. 9 times out of 10, I'm willing to bet that when you need to go back and find your keys, you'll know where they were. And you'll find them right away. In fact, a year later, you might remember that very event and exactly where those keys were that day. Because you will have committed it to long-term memory. And of course, depending on its importance, it will fade in time. You know, just how long is a matter of how often you need to repeat finding your keys there. That'll be the only time you needed to find them right there until next time. When you place them there next time, wherever it is that you place them, you can do the same thing. You can do this when you park your car in a huge parking lot. And chances are you're going to find your car without any trouble. Now, if you notice the difference between when you place your keys there and go at it this way, and then next time you really just throw your keys down somewhere and then can't find them, this would be an indication of how much you're really paying attention throughout the day. or not paying attention to what's going on, even though you think you are. This is a way to overcome short-term memory difficulties. Perhaps not 100% overcome them, but significantly. It also serves as an attention training method. It does many other things. It's good for your involvement in self-mastery, which is the point of this video here in this playlist, in this video series called Self-Mastery Shorts. I'm Tharanki Ramacharaka. Have a good day. A memorable one.